Okay, for the third time, try to get this bad boy up and running, and hopefully Elgato doesn't shit its pants again. Um, but yeah, like I get what you're saying that from the
The
outside,
blacks should have never. Oh yeah, yeah.
from the outside watching someone like performing someone else's vision, you might not get it, and definitely like watching someone else perform your vision, you might question whether or not your vision was actually worth doing in the first place. Like, was this, like, what was the purpose of me putting the effort into making this happen? Like, I get that.
Yeah,
But,
but I'm also saying that there is a chance because we will never get the 100% truth. But there is a chance that he wrote much of that stuff, and so did his room full of males, with a specific intention.
well, I'm not going to disagree with that, but I also wouldn't say like it was with an intention. I can definitely say like they might have infused some adult humor into what they were doing. But again, like I was saying before, like with almost all kids programming, not like young kids, not like stuff on Nick Jr.,
Well, yes,
but like almost all kids
part of the
programming
gag,
has that.
though, is them not getting there. That's part of the gag.
Yeah, like because it's in almost like, well, not in Disney movies per se, but like in the Pixar flicks, there's definitely some bits that are left in for the adults to like giggle at that the kids won't get until they're adults. I'm not saying that that's like wrong, but I am acknowledging that like yeah, that does I get it. Um, and yeah, you're right. Like with all the men that were working on the show, um, honestly, I won't even say it's just the men because I'm gonna play Satan's advocate. Uh, I feel that like with the women who were there, I definitely feel like there was this chance that some of them might have tried to be funny and might have written raunchier things to get like on the plus side, on the good side of the guys. And I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, but they were trying to survive in that environment, and so like I understand why they would have. Um, and
I
like
mean, that's if there were women there, because we know how he felt about women.
yeah, but I mean that didn't stop them from attempting. Like that's like how he felt it was irrelevant. If they wanted to try to like appease the male demographic in the room, I totally get that they might have done some stuff. They might have like said like wrote some things that like wrote ain't a word. Written some things that wasn't completely kosher to like become a part of the in crowd, even if it was to no avail. Like that's all I'm saying. But like, so yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say like none of these jokes were meant to be adult. And like by all means, if you're like, oh yeah, the cum shots, it's like that's clearly what that is. It's like, well, not necessarily. Like you see it as that because you watch porn. Like that is how come kids don't like wouldn't see it like that. It's not that they don't see it like that because they're too young. It's simply put like it's information can make you too smart. Like just simply put, once you get information in your head, like it's like when we see faces and things. It's just how our brains are designed to like to function. Like we try to find like familiar things, like familiar patterns. That's just what we do. And again, I'm not saying they're wrong to do it, but I'm saying that to just to ultimately say, oh no, this thing that I think is right because there's no other options. That's incorrect. Even if it's logical, it's still incorrect to say like you are 100% right because you can't be wrong. Like I'm just like that's where I'm at with that. Um, but more importantly, the entire point of this commercial is to show that like these dudes don't have skid marks in their underwear, and I just think like I think this is complete. Y'all can't see this. It's a commercial for this thing called Dude Wipes, and I really think like advertising has gotten to the point where it thinks being crude is like people are gonna remember us. It's like not really, man. Like it does not make me more likely to purchase your product.
They've been everywhere though. They want sponsors for WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, it's mostly dudes, and I suppose like a lot of wrestlers spend time with other men's asses in their faces. Probably agree. I'm not gonna continue.
Yeah, don't.
But the reason I thought it was interesting, one, like the idea of like, no, I didn't think it was funny. It's like you didn't think it was funny, but an entire nation of children thought it was. So they're wrong and you're right because you're on TV right now, I guess. But she later on said that like she said her and the dude that was like in that segment with her both said they felt
Oh, that the other black girl. No. Who are we
what
talking
other
about?
we're talking about Giovanni and the dude that was there with her.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Giovanni.
thought you were going to talk about the other black girl.
What other black girl?
The one that talked
from
about
the Amanda show. No,
Yeah.
we can get to that in a second. But no, Giovanni said that like, well, they would tell me that I was so talented, they quote unquote didn't know what to do with me, and they could stick me almost anywhere. And she said, well, so I started like trying to write skits and stuff for me to like help them out. And like as soon as she said that, I was like, wait a minute. Like a minute ago, you said you didn't even understand the comedy, you didn't understand the business. So at what point did you start writing scripts? Like when did you start doing that? When did you go from not knowing how it all worked to pitching ideas? Because I'm gonna tell you the whole like you're so talented we don't know what to do with you. Oh, that sounds like bullshit. I'll give you that.
I mean,
hold on. When I say it sounds like bullshit, I'm not saying that they didn't say it. I'm definitely saying I agree that they might have said it. But what I'm agreeing to more importantly is I'm agreeing to the fact that they didn't try. Because like if you look at like an actor on the show, you're like, this motherfucker got the chops. It's kind of how Urkel became like the main focus of Family Matters. Because simply he was more captivating than anything else on the show. So if they genuinely saw Giovanni as like, oh no, she's fucking real good. Like, okay, well let's fucking like write some stuff for Giovanni, and you know like try to put her up front. She might be able to beat fucking hell. She might be able to be the next Kenan Thompson. But she said, nah, that's not what they did. And her and the black dude whose names I don't remember. I'm gonna read this as I wrote it. I'm just over halfway through it, and I am struggling to try and finish this. There is no new information. It's just an interview with all the people who were featured. This is a message I sent you. Like there is no concept of being genuine. They have to adhere to the they have to adhere to the expected experience and outcome of the thing they are taking part in. The complaints about there not being more black people is a desperate attempt to remain relevant in the conversation after years of not being thought of. There's a limited expectation of diversity in shows aimed at children because kids are supposed to feel like they could be included in what they are watching. They felt that there weren't enough black people on the show, but there wasn't a single Asian American or anyone with a visible disability. So inclusion must not be that important. And I when I thought about them saying like you know there's a thing that all black people do when they walk into a room, and it's you know you play count the black people, and it's like okay, well, so are you it's like okay, do black people do this?
Though.
We do this, but the question now is, when you do that, are you accounting for where you are?
Well, that's not. That shouldn't be part of the equation.
Why not?
Because if you say like it's already putting in like exclusionary practices, which are yes a thing, right? But they shouldn't be a thing. So if I walk into like an upscale restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
like it's because I wanted to walk. I wanted to go to an upscale restaurant. Like, I'm not necessarily there to look for black people. Now, if someone else brought me, then it's almost like show off my black situation.
Well, see, and I feel like all of that is like a personal thing that like when we have conversations like this, it's important before you start agreeing or disagreeing to like acknowledge that like someone's speaking from their personal thoughts. Because when I say like consider where you are, I mean like if I go like me and you definitely are not typical black people. We are not typical African Americans for our age group or from where we are from. We aren't. We like things that people our age and race don't really like. So if I went somewhere like the first time I went to the clinic, no, the dialysis clinic, well, that's better. Uh, yeah, like I definitely started count. I don't when I go places, I don't just count the blacks. I count the fats. Like I count to see how many big people there are. And like yeah, there was a lot of like there's a lot of black people there. Like I check men, blacks, and fat people. Like that, like it's just to see like how like isolated am I, and like when I feel like oh wow, like I'm kind of like an outlier here. In most cases, I'm never treated like an outlier. Like no one else is staring at me. Like no one's like, oh, what are you doing here? Like let's say like you go to the Renaissance Fair. I don't expect to see a lot of black people there. I'm not saying I don't expect to see any, but I don't expect to see a lot because it just doesn't seem like something most black people get into. That's what I mean by like, where are you? Like, where are you? And like, I think when it like the idea of like, well, there weren't a lot of black kids on the show. Well, first off, like I think at least for every season there's at least two black kids. There's at least two black kids, and at least one fat kid. No, no offense. Like,
Yeah, they were doing exactly what they said they were doing though. They were the quota.
yeah, but that's the thing. You have to think like they can't hire everybody. The idea of
No,
like
that's true. That is true. They can't hire everybody, but at the same time, when you are literally the quota, and you look around and all you see are faces that aren't similar to yours, whether it be in front of the camera or behind the camera, that immediately puts you in an uncomfortable situation
and
where you feel like you can't
and
like actually be yourself potentially.
And I feel like that's a weird, like I feel like that's in that scenario, it's such a weird thing to think immediately, because I would feel like
It's not.
I didn't, I said I feel, and I think yeah, I still think it's very weird to feel that way, depending on where you are, because let's say like because the show again, they can't hire, they have like X number of kids they have to hire, and to say like well yeah I'm the token this character, well yeah, that's kind of the point. We want like kind of one person that represents multiple demographics. Everybody isn't going to audition. Like they're not. Like we're like I always look at Power Rangers as an example. There's always a minority. There's at least two minorities and at least one female. Because like that's what the show is supposed to be. When you play like when you watch Power Rangers or as a kid or X-Men or well not Spider-Man because that's just one dude, but like any show with an ensemble cast, the idea is that almost anybody watching the show will find someone they can identify with and roll with that character, like and get into the show. So like to say like, well, there weren't enough black people here. It's like, well, did you like you don't want a WWE situation where we have a bunch of cast members and you hardly see any of them. Because like that, like honestly, best case scenario, honestly, if you hire like 20 blacks, but like most of the sketches still have white people in them, then like 100% we can say yes, they are. It's bigoted. They're 100% like fucking us over on purpose. But I still like strongly feel like you can't sit there and say like you can because it makes for a great soundbite. It makes for great conversation. But like kids watching it don't think that. Like we only need the like one or two black people in a show to be like that's who I like. Like I like the Big Bang Theory and it wasn't like The only black dude in the whole show was fucking LeVar Burton. But they had somebody who was neurodivergent, and they had two technically. Raj was neurodivergent for like the first couple seasons, like, and he was the minority, and I almost called him Stefan. Uh, Sheldon was 100% neurodivergent. Like Leonard was short, kind of had like an abusive childhood, like in a way. Like shows like that. That's the point. You can't have like unless it's like this is a black show. Cause like yeah, there was plenty of black people on fucking Kenan and Kel. The only white dude on that show regularly was the dude who worked at Riggs, the manager of Rigby's. I forgot his name. Ken, was that his name? Something like that. And I just think like it couldn't have been Tom. It could have been shit. I don't remember what it was. I don't know why I kept calling him. I thought his name was Ken. And like that's obviously that's my take on it, because like in like the world we live in, what the fuck else are you supposed to do? Like I would
Well,
love
see,
to.
that's right there. That's you're getting. So what you're getting is like the assimilation take on it, um, which is an issue. It is an issue. Um, and if I can, I'm just gonna take. I'm gonna slide to politics for a second with this one. Um, and
I'm gonna
we gotta speed it up because Movie Bill is kicking the ass. Um, I'm fading like a mother. So last year, yeah, I think it was last year sometime. Um, three members of the state house, not the big one, but the state house. Three members were put up for expulsion.
I thought you were gonna say adoption.
And remember how I told you, like, Tennessee has like one of the largest supermajorities uh, in the country, based on Republicans versus Democrats. Like the massive amount of Republicans in the state house literally means that like there's nothing that Democrats can do to overcome their numbers. They have a 2/3 majority. They can pass whatever they want through that Congress with practically no objection. Um, so three members of the House were put up for expulsion because they were having a debate on gun violence in schools, which happened right after there was a school shooting here in town. And the crazy thing is, like, the school shooting happened at like a predominantly white school,
Mm-hmm.
um, and was committed by a trans individual, which is why it ended up making national news because people were like at that point now trying to make trans people a dangerous part of it. Um, so
It really just not that it's relevant because it's not, but like if anything, it really does come back down to mental health, because like she
yeah,
he or she probably did it because they were probably being bullied. Let's not say that
well,
that's the
so
only reason, because it
there was
simply
a
could have just
person
been because they
who
were
I
angry.
believe was a
'Cause-
former student at that school,
oh my
which
god.
was like a Catholic school.
Okay, so I'm afraid of where this might be going. Ha ha ha
Why?
ha. Catholicism.
Oh no, not there. Um, so anyway, there was a debate within the House on gun violence within schools,
Uh huh.
and
Boy, he ate that weed.
the house itself, like the Capitol building, was like full of the public because people from the public are allowed to come in and watch like proceedings and stuff like that, and essentially, like these three Democrats were attempting to speak on the issue, and the Speaker of the House would not allow them to speak and shut off their mics and everything. So they went to the pulpit, basically, podium, and the three of them stood in front of the podium and held hands and chanted with a megaphone because they weren't being listened to within the house, right? And so the makeup of those three people were one guy who I believe is black and some sort of Asian, another guy who is black, and a white woman. So after
Hold
this
up.
all went down,
I feel like not that it's relevant because it's not. But when you said some sort of Asian, you could have just said Asian.
well, no, because I would prefer to be correct. I don't want to just say like
A-
uh,
Asia is a
he's
continent,
Filipino.
but Asia is a continent. You could just say
Well, I want to
Asian
no,
is
I want
Asian.
to like I would prefer to narrow it down.
But you didn't.
Um, yeah, because I don't know, and I don't want to
But I'm just
just
saying,
say, oh
like,
yeah, he's
what
black and
you?
Chinese. Like, no,
Well, no, well, no, no, no. I'm
he's
not saying
clearly
you.
a brown Asian.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not
Like
saying
that's
you should
all I'm
have.
trying to say. He's a brown Asian.
Yeah,
Okay, he's black and some sort of brown Asian. Okay, can we move on?
no, I'm
So the
just
makeup
not.
was
I don't
the
have beef
black
with it.
and
I'm just
brown
saying.
Asian guy,
I,
and
I,
the
I
black
didn't want you
guy,
to call him
and the white woman.
Filipino. I didn't want you to call him Filipino. I was just saying some sort of Asian and Asian are literally the same thing, but like some sort of Asian sounds like there's more than one Asia. Oh my God, are you saying that there's
There's
more than
more
one?
than one Asian nation.
Yes, there's more than one Asian nation, but Asian is still a nationality. Are you separating the Browns and the not Browns?
Yeah, because they do.
Whoa, okay. I didn't know that was a thing we did.
Yep,
All right.
he is Filipino. Boy, can I nail him. So
But he's a good enough person to where he didn't. He wouldn't do that without being sure.
but here's the thing, I can spot a Filipino when I see.
I
So
don't know if you should
it
have said
was.
that.
Oh my gosh! So the three of them, they stood down and they held up proceedings, right? Because they're clearly, obviously against gun violence. But even though there was a whole school shooting in the city, like less than a year after another one, I believe, and like the Republicans still wouldn't take up anything about like gun control or anything like that, even though there were thousands of people who were at the house every freaking day, like calling for it, and they still wouldn't do it. So three of them went down. They held up proceedings, and what ended up happening was that the Republicans filed motions to expel all three of them. And so what happens when when you're expelling a member, like you have a hearing, they get to say their part, they get to be questioned, and then the body votes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the during the proceedings for one of them, there was I believe he was Indian American, a Republican on the a Republican. I told you I'm losing it. He's an
Yeah.
Indian American. He was a Republican, and so he's saying his piece, right? And literally, a part of his piece
Fell off.
to these two brown people were, why couldn't you just blend in? Like, why couldn't you just go along to get along? And like immediately,
And he's not white.
the correct, he was Indian American. So immediately the black and Filipino guy said, "This is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like you are just as brown as I am, and they would treat you the exact same way, but he's assimilated."
Well, I'd say like the biggest issue with that like is that like he feels that way because he hates himself for having to have done it. Like he didn't like what he had to do to get where he is, and he doesn't like the concept. He's
Considering that he's a politician, I'm not sure that he was very upset about it because since he did it, it meant that he got to get certain things.
I mean, you're probably right. I don't know this
especially
dude,
in
so
a state where like he's literally like sitting there in the majority as one of the few pieces of diversity in the majority. Now, here's what ended up happening at the end of that situation. So you know who got voted out? The two black dudes. The white woman did not. And so many people were looking at this situation, and it was just like, say the quiet out part out loud. Like, please do it. Because that's exactly what they did.
I really hate that phrase. It's so dumb. Uh,
But it's the truth.
yeah, but there's better ways to say it. Like I
Then
like
you pick one.
be honest, because
I
like
think I think you I
honesty,
think
honesty
you
is
think you
honesty.
hate that phrase just because it's popular right now.
Well,
Um,
yeah, people are fucking up English. They are finding new ways to say like the same shit with more words, which is just bizarre to me. Like you could just tell people to be honest, and because honest, the concept of honesty like kind of goes across
you say
across.
bizarre, it could be clever. Anyway, the way you were saying this, was really giving me the assimilation argument.
No,
It's
I
like
would. Well,
you
I
go,
definitely
you
disagree.
go, you go, and yes, you are one of two black people there. The only other black person there is a parent. And you look at the people you have to work with in front of the camera, the people you have to work with behind the camera. Like you are trapped in that situation, and you say, look at where you are. So like that's what they did. So they didn't say anything. They didn't complain. They did what they were told until they were asked about it, and then they said their piece.
Yeah, and I really feel like as long as you choose like because I feel like there's two arguments being made here. My whole thing is like to say that like well yeah like it was them and their parents and those are the only black people there. I'm still a firm believer that like you have to consider where you are and who you are. Simply put, like where you are might be where you want it to be, and you might be one of the only people like you who wants to be where you are. And that doesn't mean like, well, there's no other black people in all of California that wanted to work in Nickelodeon. That's not what I'm saying. I can't say for sure that black people that there were like more qualified black people that got looked over for the jobs. I can't say there are more qualified women that got looked over for the jobs. I will openly say that I feel there were definitely black people and women who got looked over for that job. Like to this day, I'm pretty sure there are women who like would be good at writing because the idea you don't have to be like a single stand-up comedian to like help write comedy. You're in a writing room with other people able to give feedback. And I feel like as we move forward in life, as like more minorities get created, we're going to have to start quote unquote assimilating them into the fold to the point that there's going to be one person from each representative, like from each delegation representing the delegation. So you're going to have one white guy, one white woman, one black guy, one black woman, one trans person, and one gay person. Or like one gay man, one gay woman, one trans female, and one trans male to like make up an entire staff of a thing. And I'm not saying that that's impossible, but I am saying it's highly unlikely across the entire board of whatever it is you're trying to do, because there might not be. It's like the idea of somebody saying, "Well, I wanted like there to be a doctor in my family," and like I heard somebody say this shit earlier. It was like my mom always said she wanted a doctor in the family, and I thought it was a fucking stupid thing to say. I was like, well, then you be a doctor. Like, don't put your desires on somebody else. That's fucking like it's too much. Like, as somebody who's easily stressed, like, don't do that. Don't put it on your kids to become the thing you didn't become. Let them be who they are. And I feel like you might not want to do the thing like that your delegation needs you to become to be a part of that thing. Like, because we're talking about the mid, not even like the mid '90s. We're talking about the late '90s, early 2000s. When Giovanni was on all that, I think it was post 2000. I
Yeah,
think.
and like things were still very similar to the way they were in the '90s. There was no
Yeah.
diversity.
No, there wasn't a lot of well, there wasn't a lot of diversity behind screen. On screen, there was diversity. Like you could say it was token diversity, but diversity is diversity. Like that's like because they're doing a thing for a specific audience. Because even if they are shitty people, even if that's what's going on, their whole thing is, I need to make this show good so that kids like it and it stays on air and I keep getting paid. That's what they need. And I feel like their job is to make sure that they continue to get paid at the end of the day. And so, like, I can't look Giovanni in the face, tell her the thing you said wasn't true. But I can tell her that from my experience, as as one individual who is across 3 different demographics, watching something and being able to see at least one person that reminds me of me on that thing makes me more interested in watching the show. With The Walking Dead, we had T-Dog. And then eventually we got Michonne. And I'm saying that, like, when you have an ensemble cast of like 6 people, you cannot have one of everybody. But with that being said, I'm lying. I am lying. Because there was a show on PBS called Zoom that totally kind of did. Zoom had black kids, white kids, and a kid in a wheelchair. They even had one girl who was allergic to latex. So, is it possible? Yep, they can do it. They 100% can do it. But I am saying at the same time, like, if you look around and you're like, yeah, there ain't a lot of people like me here. 2 things. One, don't let that change where you are, like what you want to do. If you're in a place and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people like you there, don't make that make you feel like you shouldn't be there. Like, don't. If it's what's in your heart, fucking go for it, man. Like, do you. If you want to be an actor and all you see is like fucking like white people like, you know, auditioning, fuck it. Be the one black guy. If you want to be a like a model and you keep seeing skinny bitches but you a little thicker, fuck it. Go for it. Just go for it. Like, at the very least, let them know that, like, you know, us big hoes is out here trying. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, I totally get the feeling of, like, culturally, I am segregated. Like, and I say that, like, not as just a black person, but I say that as, like, somebody who is 35 years old and kind of a nerd. Kind of a nerd. Like, when I tell you, like, I don't have a lot of people I can make jokes to or make references to that get my references. Almost anywhere I go, nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. And I don't judge them for it. I'm not going to judge them. They just didn't grow up on the shit I grew up on. They didn't like the stuff I like. If they did grow up, you know, in the era I grew up, it doesn't mean they like the stuff I like. And I just think that it's more important to remember that there are individuals like that just might not want to do what you want to do. Everybody wants to be an actor, but let's be real, everybody ain't good at it. Like, everybody makes YouTube videos, and everybody ain't good at them. You're looking at one, or you're listening to one right now. I'm not good at this. Like, I'm really, really not. But I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm going to keep bombarding YouTube with my horrible voice. But that doesn't mean I think you're wrong. I think that it is just 2 sides of a very unique coin. Because when it all comes down to it, it really is like, we're still struggling to get white people to notice that black people are like equal.
So, like, here's the thing, like, when you were first talking about it.
You fell asleep?
No. When you were first talking about it, I felt like I didn't hear a single time where you were like, I understand the, like, where it sounded like you genuinely like understood what she was talking about. But now at this point, it just sounds like you're making the point that she was making.
Oh, like I said, I'm not saying that she was wrong. I'm not. What I'm saying is, like, it's a 2-sided coin. Yeah, it's highly probable that they actively didn't have black people there, like, because of biases. But it's not fair to assume that. Is what I'm saying.
I don't think it's ever been like Well, in that situation, it may not have been uh, because of a bias. It was probably a situation, and it's a situation that a lot of people still use. Is that's just the way it's always been done.
Yeah, and I still think that.
Like,
I refuse to not let. I refuse to not make them acknowledge that that's a bias, because like, well, that's just how it is. Like,
yeah, it
but
is. Yeah, I mean, it is. But at the same time, like when they walked into the room and they saw nothing but
white
white
faces,
faces around them,
white face.
again, like you were saying, you already said, like there's not like you can't. Like, there are people there that would have taken that job, and they know that. They know that they knew that there was limited space, and they knew there were people there that would take that job. That's why they had to assimilate. And but now, when they're being asked about it, now when they have the freedom to speak about it, they can do so openly.
Yeah, and but I still feel like to be completely transparent, you should openly acknowledge, like, oh yeah, like I wanted the money, like I wanted to be on the show, because I feel like when you're like the way
Well,
they,
obviously, you don't
no,
go
no,
to
no, no, no,
Hollywood.
no, 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 it is not obvious because they do not like word it in a way to make it, because they almost word it in a way to make it sound like they were kidnapped. At no point did anybody
No,
acknowledge.
no, I don't. I don't think so. I mean, you know why? And it was specifically a segment with Dude and his mama,
Ooh,
because
I ain't gonna be able to get to her, but boy, I want to so bad.
when Soledad asked them, she said, "What would you say to people who are in this same position that want to do this?" What did his mama say? And
I
he
don't know,
said it.
something stupid, I'm sure.
They both said, "Do it. It's your dream,
Yeah.
but also be cautious."
Yeah, but I feel like you shouldn't have to fucking tell nobody that. Like I,
But it's a completely different time,
no,
and that counts. That matters. You can't say
I
that it doesn't, but it
are we?
does.
Wait, are we talking about black people or are we talking about like children around adults?
I mean, in general,
I know. Well,
like
I disagree then because I think like pedophiles and freaks and weirdos around kids is something like that we've
oh,
always dealt with, and
I'm
that's
not even, I'm not. No, that's not even what I'm talking about.
oh okay.
I mean, it is a completely different time now from how it was back then. Like, there were ways that they could skirt child labor laws easily back then, and they could 100% have children on set working 12-hour days, which is illegal. But there were loopholes. That's how Brian Peck got hired back on set around children because as
Yeah, I'm
part of
aware.
his yeah.
Yeah,
So
he
like
wasn't
there are
around the
loopholes,
kids. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, yeah, but I'm
and the rules, everything is they're all different today. Even now, there are companies that are instituting DEI um, policies, meaning like you have your makeup has to be diverse. Like Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, when he got hired onto 30 Rock as a writer, TFA told him he was the diversity hire because NBC instituted a DEI policy. So she had to hire somebody of color to put in the writer's room, and it was him.
why would she tell him that?
So there have been grumblings on the interwebs for years that Tina Fey is like low key racist, and it can be seen in a lot of her material. But I'm just like, she's still funny.
No, that's totally fine. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say that she's not funny, and like she can be a shit person. Like when it comes to comedy,
Yeah, but
I she can be a shit person
it's a
and be funny.
situation
But why
like
would you
that
tell
right
him
there,
that?
though, seemed like it was kind of a power play, or potentially it was a. It could be looked at in two different ways. It was a power play in that like she didn't want him there, and so she told him the reason that he was there.
So be quiet
Or
and just sit
yes,
there.
or it was a like I was forced to hire you, so
Don't talk to me.
prove that I no, prove that I made a right decision. You know,
Yeah.
like because. They could easily want it to be someone else.
Because a part of me feels like no matter how you word it, no matter how you look at that, there's no positivity in it.
Okay, so this one was running long, and by long I mean this was kind of the halfway point of the entire session. Well, second session. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you made it this far, thanks. Yeah, because me and this dude, we make, in my opinion, the best content that there is on my channel. So yeah, tune in for the next one.